Well, with just over a week to go before the US presidential election, more than 60 million Americans have already taken advantage of early voting, and that is breaking all records. This week, in a series of special reports from the key state of Arizona, my colleague Clive Myrie will be looking at some of the issues preoccupying the voters as they make their choices. And he starts this evening with illegal immigration and President Trump's signature promise to build a wall along the border with Mexico.
The heavens were no barrier to American idealism. But on Earth, how best to protect what it means to be American? Is an impregnable barrier a good option?
Well, I think it says you can tear down the Statue of Liberty. I think it says it's a closed shop.
A nation of settlers that for some is turning on outsiders. As America votes, immigration is high on the ballot. We talk to those who see Donald Trump's border wall as a betrayal of American ideals.
I just see this on a daily basis, and it sometimes just hits you.
And those for whom there's no price too high to pay to protect all they hold dear. You prepared to use that?
Oh yeah, if it comes down to it, I'm coming home.
The biggest beneficiary maybe happens to be Arizona. That wall, how good is the wall?
It is the iconic idea of Trump's America. And this, cowboys and big skies, part of the iconography of America.
All right, guys, okay.
Bill McDonald's ranch in Arizona is just a few miles from the border with Mexico. Illegal immigration and drug trafficking are live issues here. Yet for him, a Republican, billions spent on a border wall is a waste of money.
People think, well, you build a wall and you've solved the problem. They've already got saws that cut through that wall. You can do it with technology and do it just as well. It's political. He made a promise. He was determined to keep it. He thought if he kept it, he'd get reelected. It's the only reason he does anything. I'm not crazy about everybody that crosses the border, but I'm not crazy about everybody that already lives here either. I mean, there are good people and there are bad people in all stripes.
It takes a few hours to sort the calves for sale, headed for Oklahoma. They'll never see their mothers again, but that's business.
Activists say over 500 children remain separated from their families as a result.
Building a big wall was only part of the plan. Critics in Congress and human rights groups claimed migrants were being treated like cattle under Donald Trump's zero-tolerance child separation policy to deter illegal migration. Eventually, his administration was forced to change course. But secure borders are a necessity. We saw drug cartel spotters across the wall in Mexico, checking if the coast is clear, to send over human mules.
These ones went that way, so yesterday I followed these guys.
Tim Foley often spots them too, videoing the mules camouflaged with their backpacks of drugs. From his remote base in southern Arizona, he leads a group of armed volunteers that patrols the border. Is a wall making America great again?
It's making it safer. This is my in-town.
Tim represents a strain of American patriotism Donald Trump tapped into, giving up everything he knew in San Francisco to come to Arizona. Why are you involved? What is it about the situation that gets you angry?
I didn't trust the government or the media to tell the actual truth of what was going on.
Some applesauce.
But what is the truth? There's another group of volunteers on the border. They're from a charity that leaves water and food supplies for people crossing over from Mexico, asylum seekers fleeing persecution, and migrant families with children reaching for a better life. It must be difficult. They also help families find relatives who've gone missing crossing the border. So what are the kinds of things that you come across on the trails?
Many times we find remains, skeletal remains of border crossers. You know, evidence of a person's life. So you see wedding rings, love letters, a lot of rosaries, a lot of Bibles.
In this one area, the remains of 181 people have been found this year.
You see young people, old people, you see everybody. And you see the families just reach out to us desperately looking for their loved one. It's an unimaginable pain and anguish.
We have the water drop sitting over here.
Often Gia and Tim's worlds collide, and there's one thing they both agree on. What's the tattoo?
One of the horsemen of the apocalypse. It's what I see is coming. It's my view of the border. There's death all around.
Donald Trump's wall speaks to us all. We project on the barrier our own values. This election sees millions of Americans casting their votes in line with who they believe they really are. Clive Myrie, BBC News in southern Arizona.
From Arizona, let's go to Washington. Let's join our North America editor, John Sopel, who's at the White House. John, all happening a week tomorrow. What is your reading of where this campaign is heading now?
Well, there's been a certain tightening of the polls if you look at the Sunshine States, where Clive was reporting, Florida, North Carolina. I've seen another set of polls, though, for the northern industrial states, which suggest that Joe Biden is increasing his lead. If you look at the aggregate of polls, which I think is a more reliable guide, they show that for all the turbulence, for all the drama, Joe Biden enjoys a poll lead nationally and a smaller poll lead in all the key swing states. That is to the immense frustration of Donald Trump. He is desperate to get off the subject of coronavirus and talk about other things. But there's been another outbreak in the White House. 5 members of the vice president's staff have tested positive. And there are also spikes in cases in some of those key swing states, which is making campaigning more difficult for Donald Trump. Joe Biden has done 0 events today. It's almost as if the Democrats are saying, let's do no damage, do no harm. Last night, he confused Donald Trump and called him George. So it seems that the Democrat strategy is play it safe until next week, and they hope that that will take them across the finish line.
John, many thanks again. John Sopel there with the latest thoughts on the campaign in Washington.